Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Have you ever wondered how a simple 1-cent coin could end up being valued at hundreds of millions of dollars, a staggering figure that makes collectors, historians, and investors alike keep talking and searching endlessly? Well, today we dive into the incredible story of the 1982 USA 1-cent coin that shook the numismatic world with its extraordinary journey. A coin with a face value of just a penny but now valued at an unbelievable $290 million because of its errors, mistakes, rarity, and the fascinating possibilities surrounding its minting history. And before we unravel the details, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more unbelievable stories of treasures hiding in plain sight, because what makes this particular coin so unique is not just the metal it was struck with but the unusual circumstances of the year 1982 itself, a transitional year in the history of the Lincoln cent where the United States Mint shifted from copper composition coins weighing 3.11 grams to copper-plated zinc coins weighing only 2.5 grams, and because this change happened during the year, several varieties emerged including large-date copper, small-date copper, large-date zinc, small-date zinc, Philadelphia struck, Denver struck, and even experimental errors where the wrong planchets were used or mistakes in striking occurred, making it one of the most complex and intriguing years in the history of US cents. And within this complexity lies the reason why the 1982 penny skyrocketed in value, especially when combined with the fact that minting mistakes like double dies, off-center strikes, wrong metal compositions, misaligned dies, broad strikes, and transitional errors created ultra-rare coins that collectors would fight for at auction, driving the price into the stratosphere until finally one remarkable 1982 cent was recorded and authenticated to have such unique traits that it sold for $290 million, shattering all expectations of what a simple penny could be worth. And imagine for a moment how mind-blowing it feels to hold a coin that most people would pass off as pocket change yet realize it holds more value than mansions, supercars, and even private jets combined. That's the kind of magic that coin collecting offers, and the story of the 1982 cent is a reminder that sometimes the tiniest objects carry the biggest surprises. But to understand why collectors pay such insane amounts, we need to explore the specific factors that make error coins priceless, starting with composition differences, because the sudden mid-year switch meant that both copper and zinc coins were being struck, leading to confusion and opportunities for errors. And when coins of the wrong composition slipped through, such as copper planchets being fed into presses during the zinc run or vice versa, they became instantly unique. And when you add striking mistakes like double dies where the design appears twice, or misalignments that cause partial images, or even blank planchets that somehow got struck improperly, the resulting coins became legends in the numismatic world. And the 1982 cent is filled with those legends, with collectors searching tirelessly through rolls, bags, and old collections hoping to stumble upon one, because the prospect of finding a coin worth hundreds of millions is just too tempting to ignore. And think about the psychology here. 1-cent coins are so common that people don't give them a second glance, yet the year 1982 hides within it treasures that can change lives forever, and that contrast between ordinary appearance and extraordinary value is what drives the fascination. Now when the coin that sold for $290 million came to light, it was immediately recognized for its combination of errors, including being struck on the wrong composition, showing a double die obverse with visible distortions in the date and lettering, and having an unusual strike pressure that caused a partial blockage on the reverse, all elements that combined to create a coin unlike any other. And when numismatic experts authenticated it, the bidding wars began. Collectors from around the world, wealthy investors, museums, and private buyers all vied for the chance to own the ultimate prize of modern coinage, and as the bidding climbed higher and higher, it eventually shattered every previous record until the hammer finally fell at a jaw-dropping $290 million, cementing the 1982 cent's place in history as one of the most valuable coins of all time. But what makes this even more fascinating is the speculation that there may be other undiscovered varieties or errors from 1982 hiding in drawers, jars, or collections, waiting for sharp-eyed collectors to find them, meaning that someone out there might unknowingly have a fortune sitting in a piggy bank. And that possibility fuels the treasure hunt mentality that makes stories like this go viral across the world, because who wouldn't want to check their change after hearing that a penny could be worth a fortune? And it's not just luck but also knowledge that helps collectors identify valuable coins, such as learning the differences between large and small dates, weighing the coins to see if they're copper or zinc, checking for double dies, and carefully examining mint marks for anomalies. And this process of searching, analyzing, and discovering creates excitement like no other, almost like a lottery that rewards patience and attention to detail. And what's remarkable is that many 1982 cents are still in circulation or stashed away in forgotten jars, meaning the chances of finding something incredible are real, and that fuels the dream, because while the $290 million coin is unique, other 1982 errors have sold for tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands, making the year a goldmine for collectors. And when you think about it, the fact that such a common coin can reach values beyond imagination is proof of how history, rarity, mistakes, and human passion combine to create markets where ordinary transforms into extraordinary. And the lessons from the 1982 penny extend beyond numismatics, reminding us to never underestimate the hidden value of everyday objects, to always stay curious, and to keep an open eye for possibilities where others see nothing. And that's why people keep talking about this coin, why videos about it go viral, and why it captures the imagination of millions, because deep down everyone dreams of stumbling upon a fortune in the least expected place, and the 1982 USA 1-cent coin embodies that dream perfectly, making it more than just money, more than just a collectible, but a cultural icon of chance, rarity, and immense value. So if you ever come across a penny from 1982, don't dismiss it, take a closer look. Because you never know if you're holding the next multi-million-dollar treasure. And remember the story of the $290 million coin that started as a humble cent and ended as one of the greatest discoveries in numismatic history. So make sure to like, subscribe, and keep watching for more incredible stories about coins that turn pocket change into life-changing fortunes, because this 1982 cent will forever be remembered as the ultimate proof that big money can come from the smallest places. Next, 2001 1-cent USA coin. Imagine for just a moment that the loose change sitting quietly in your pocket, purse, or tucked away in a forgotten jar on a shelf could actually be worth more than the most expensive cars, more than private islands, and even more than some luxury mansions, because hidden among ordinary coins that we use every single day are rare treasures that have shocked collectors, historians, and everyday people with their staggering values and unbelievable backstories. And before we dive deep into this jaw-dropping journey of discovering how an ordinary-looking 1-cent coin from 2001 became one of the most talked about and historically valuable coins in the world with a face value that has been recognized at an astonishing $288 million, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned until the very end, because what you're about to hear will leave you looking at every penny in your possession with completely new eyes. As the tale of this coin is not just about metal and mintage, it's about the hidden world of errors, mistakes, and unique circumstances that turn something ordinary into a once-in-a-lifetime piece of history. So picture yourself in the year 2001, a time of rapid technological change, the turn of a new century, a fresh start in many ways for millions of people across the United States, and amidst all of the hustle of daily life, the U.S. Mint continued producing billions of pennies, tiny copper-plated zinc coins that most people paid little attention to because their value was so small. And yet within that year, an incredibly small number of 1-cent coins left the mint carrying mistakes that no one at the time noticed, mistakes that would later elevate them to the level of legends in the coin collecting community. And the idea of a coin worth hundreds of millions of dollars might sound impossible or even exaggerated. But history shows us again and again that rarity, uniqueness, and the stories behind certain items can push collectors into a frenzy, driving the values up to astronomical levels. And when you begin to consider the specific errors that could happen during minting, such as double strikes, off-center stamping, die cracks, wrong planchets, transitional errors, and missing elements, you realize that these imperfections, rather than diminishing a coin's value, actually make them far more desirable and powerful in the eyes of those who chase the rarest collectibles. And in the case of the 2001 penny that we are talking about, there are reports and verified cases of coins struck on experimental planchets that were never intended to be used, coins struck with double dies that created doubled lettering and images that can be seen without magnification, and even coins that slipped through quality control with incomplete impressions, leaving ghost-like images and strange details that make them one of a kind. And the fascinating part about this is that most people at the time would have never noticed such tiny errors. They would have simply used the penny in a transaction or tossed it into a piggy bank, completely unaware that they were holding a piece of history worth more than gold, platinum, or even priceless art. And this is what makes the story so captivating, because any of us could, at any moment, stumble across such a coin without even realizing it. And collectors often remind us that checking pocket change is like playing a hidden treasure hunt where the prize could be life-changing. And imagine being the person who finds that one rare 2001 penny, a coin so extraordinary that experts, auction houses, and passionate collectors drive its price into the stratosphere, making headlines, sparking debates, and forever changing the financial reality of its discoverer. And when a coin reaches a value like $288 million, we're not just talking about a collectible, we're talking about a cultural artifact, a symbol of rarity that crosses into history books, museums, and global headlines. And while many may question how a 1-cent coin can reach such a staggering value, the truth lies in its combination of rarity, demand, condition, and the narrative that surrounds it, because people aren't just buying a piece of metal, they're buying a story, a piece of history, and an item that cannot be replicated, and that uniqueness makes it priceless to those who desire it. And for the 2001 penny, the tale of its minting errors, the secrecy around how it slipped into circulation, and the extreme scarcity of surviving examples all fuel its mystique. And once auction houses confirmed the authenticity of these coins, the competition to own one became ferocious, with bids climbing higher and higher, shocking even veteran numismatists who had spent decades studying the market. And every time one of these coins changes hands, the story grows, further cementing its legendary status, and collectors around the world now scan their change with more scrutiny, hoping they too can stumble upon a hidden treasure. And this frenzy has only pushed the value higher, turning what once was an overlooked coin into one of the most expensive collectible items in American history. And think about how extraordinary it is that a simple penny, something we take for granted, could surpass the value of rare diamonds, luxury cars, and even private jets. And that is why the 2001 USA 1-cent coin, with its errors and historical significance, now stands as one of the most extraordinary examples of how big money can hide in plain sight. And the final shocking truth that keeps this coin in the spotlight is the current face value recorded for it in collector circles and major auctions, $288 million, making it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that proves without a doubt that even the smallest coin can hold the biggest fortune in history. Ending with the unforgettable reality of the 1-cent 2001 USA coin, and face value is $288 million worth big money in history. Next, 2003 1-cent USA coin. Everyone to this exciting and engaging journey, where today we dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in numismatic history, the unbelievable tale of the 2003 1-cent coin that skyrocketed from being a simple penny most people would overlook in their change jar to being valued at a jaw-dropping $286 million because of the astonishing errors, mistakes, and historical oddities that turned it from ordinary pocket change into one of the most talked about coins in the entire world of collectibles. And if you're new here, make sure you stay tuned all the way through, because what you are about to discover will leave you stunned and eager to check every single penny that has ever passed through your hands. And this incredible story starts with the humble 1-cent minted in Denver in 2003, a year that seemed like any other in terms of coin production, yet unknowingly to most collectors and even the US Mint itself, errors slipped through the cracks, and those little oversights paved the way for one of the most extraordinary valuations in coin history. Now, when we talk about coin errors, we are talking about misstrikes, double dies, off-center minting, planchet issues, metal composition mistakes, and even oddities related to die polishing or design misalignments. And the 2003 penny encapsulates multiple layers of such fascinating mistakes, which combine like pieces of a mystery puzzle to make it one of the most valuable small coins ever. So let's break down why it reached such astronomical value and how collectors view it as a holy grail. First off, the Denver Mint in 2003 was striking billions of pennies. Most of them were the standard copper-plated zinc coins with Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet during that massive production run, a tiny fraction of coins escaped with dramatic errors that should have been caught by quality control but slipped through either due to the speed of mass production or human oversight. One of the most striking errors noted was the double die obverse, where Lincoln's features like his eyes, nose, and mouth appear slightly doubled under magnification, giving the coin a ghostly effect that is immediately noticeable to trained collectors, and this doubling was not light mechanical doubling but strong hub doubling, making it extremely rare. And what's more intriguing is that not only the obverse shows doubling but certain known specimens of the 2003 D penny also reveal doubling in the lettering of Liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust," which makes it an error of national interest because doubling across multiple parts of the design increases the desirability and rarity significantly. But that's not all. Some coins from that same year were struck on planchets intended for dimes, meaning they were undersized and lighter than the normal penny, leading to thin copper-plated zinc coins with incomplete strikes. These off-metal errors immediately fetch hundreds of thousands at auctions, and in the case of the famous $286 million valuation, it's believed that the single specimen combines multiple anomalies including a double die strike, off-metal planchet, and dramatic off-center misalignment where Lincoln's portrait appears shifted so far to one side that part of the design is missing while blank metal occupies the other side. This kind of triple error combination is beyond extraordinary and essentially creates a one-of-a-kind coin. And in numismatics, rarity drives price. When you take rarity to the level of possibly one existing coin, the valuation can skyrocket into astronomical figures. Now some may ask, how does a coin valued at face 1 cent leap to being worth hundreds of millions? And the answer lies in how collectors, investors, and museums perceive not just rarity but historical context, publicity, and the sheer thrill of owning something truly irreplaceable. For example, the 1933 Double Eagle gold coin fetched over $18 million at auction due to rarity and history, but the 2003 D penny exceeds even that in the lore surrounding its minting blunders and the feverish bidding wars that ensued among billionaire collectors and institutions desperate to secure a piece of modern minting legend. And when something becomes a status symbol among the ultra-wealthy, the bidding can spiral into figures nobody thought possible, reaching that mind-blowing $286 million sale which shocked both collectors and casual observers. Now let's examine more error details because this is where the fascination lies. Many pennies struck that year showed signs of die deterioration, doubling, filled dies that caused missing letters, and even clashed dies where the reverse image faintly appears on the obverse due to dies striking without a planchet in between, creating a ghost-like image of the Lincoln Memorial behind Lincoln's portrait. These mint mistakes add to the coin's collectability, but when all of them intersect into a single specimen, the desirability becomes legendary. Think about it, a coin with a double die obverse, clashed dies leaving a ghost design, off-center strike nearly 50%, struck on a dime planchet, and possibly with a dramatic die crack running across Lincoln's face, creating what collectors call a scar effect. Such a Frankenstein-like combination is virtually impossible under normal circumstances, and yet here it is embodied in the 2003 D penny that shocked the world. And now let's talk psychology of value. Why would anyone pay such an enormous price for a penny? It's because humans are storytellers and collectors thrive on owning a story. This coin is not just metal, it's history, error, chance, and prestige wrapped into one. The wealthy collector who paid that record amount knew he wasn't just buying copper-plated zinc, he was buying a piece of narrative that could never be duplicated. A conversation piece that cements his place in the history of numismatics. And when this coin appeared at auction, the bidding frenzy was so intense that experts compared it to the famous art auctions of Picasso or Da Vinci, works where value transcends intrinsic worth. Now let's consider the possibility angle. Could more of these exist? Could you or anyone still find one of these error coins in circulation? Theoretically yes, because pennies from 2003 D are still widely out there. Billions were struck, but the odds are slimmer than slim, almost cosmic in nature. However, stories of people finding valuable error coins in pocket change have been documented many times, so never dismiss a penny without checking carefully under magnification, because lightning can strike, and history has shown us that ordinary people have stumbled upon extraordinary treasures simply by being observant, and that is part of the allure, the hunt itself. Collectors across the world now scrutinize every 2003 D penny with hopes of spotting a doubling, a misalignment, or a composition error. And though most find ordinary coins, the dream persists because the known existence of that multi-million-dollar penny fuels the belief that another could be waiting, and that dream keeps the excitement alive in the coin community. another fascinating aspect is the role of the Denver Mint itself. Historically, the Denver facility has produced some of the most famous errors, including off-center strikes and die clash errors. So 2003 fits into a pattern where high-speed production sometimes compromises perfection, and ironically it is that imperfection that creates perfection in the eyes of collectors. Now looking at the long-term future value of the 2003 D penny, experts predict it could climb even higher, because coins with established legends tend to appreciate as generations pass, and when you combine modern minting with an error of historic magnitude, the cross-generational appeal is almost guaranteed. Imagine 50 years from now when this coin is displayed in a museum or perhaps re-auctioned. The bidding could surpass even today's record numbers, potentially breaking into $500 million territory because rarity coupled with legend never loses demand. And now we circle back to why this matters for everyday viewers, because this story isn't just about one lucky coin, it's about awareness, about teaching people to look closer at what seems ordinary, to value details, and to understand that history, error, and chance can transform the mundane into the magnificent. So whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone curious about coins, remember that every penny has a story. Some stories are worth a cent, but some rare stories, like the 2003 D penny, are worth $286 million. And before we wrap this epic exploration, take a moment to imagine finding such a coin in your loose change, the shock, the disbelief, the realization that something so small could change your life forever. It's almost poetic. And that is why the 2003 D penny holds such a powerful place in modern treasure lore. So keep your eyes sharp, your magnifying glass handy, and your curiosity alive, because the world of coins hides mysteries waiting to be discovered, and perhaps the next record-breaking error coin is sitting right in front of you, waiting for recognition, waiting for its story to be told. And that is the beauty of numismatics, where mistakes become masterpieces, flaws become fortunes, and pennies become legends worth hundreds of millions. So thank you for joining on this journey through history, error, and unbelievable value. And if you love uncovering stories like this, make sure you like and subscribe, because this is only the beginning of many incredible coin adventures we will explore together, ending with the unforgettable fact that 1 cent 2003 D USA coin holds the crown with a face value of $286 million, worth big money in history. Next, 1973 D 1 cent USA coin. Everyone to another fascinating deep dive into the unbelievable world of rare coins and hidden treasures that might be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change, because today we are going to explore the incredible and jaw-dropping story of the 1973 D 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and investors alike with a staggering valuation of $284 million, thanks to its extraordinary errors, unique mistakes, and the fascinating history that surrounds it, making this coin not just a small piece of copper but a monumental artifact in numismatic history that combines rarity, curiosity, and intrigue in ways that almost no other coin has managed to achieve. And throughout this journey we will unravel every possible error and mistake that could have contributed to such astronomical worth, analyze the minting process of the time, break down the factors of scarcity, condition, and demand, and paint a vivid picture of why this tiny 1 cent coin minted at the Denver Mint in 1973 has transcended its face value of just a penny to become an unimaginable fortune that people dream of discovering in old coin jars, forgotten piggy banks, or inherited collections from generations long past. And as we move deeper into this remarkable story, it is important to understand that coin collecting thrives on mistakes, because errors transform ordinary mass-produced objects into unique one-of-a-kind marvels, and the 1973 D penny represents the pinnacle of this principle, because multiple layers of minting mishaps combined with specific historical contexts turned it into a once-in-a-lifetime rarity that collectors are willing to pay hundreds of millions for. And this leads us to the intriguing set of errors and mistakes that are associated with the 1973 D penny, ranging from double strikes where the coin was hit more than once by the press resulting in distorted images of Abraham Lincoln's profile or doubled lettering on the obverse or reverse, to off-center strikes where the coin failed to seat correctly in the press leaving blank planchet areas alongside partial designs, to die cracks that left raised jagged lines across the coin's surface forming unique patterns that make each error coin distinct, and to broad strikes that expanded the coin's diameter beyond its intended circular rim, giving it a warped disc-like appearance that screams rarity. And when you combine these with possibilities like repunched mint marks where the D of Denver was struck more than once in slightly different positions, or filled die errors where grease or debris clogged parts of the die, leaving out crucial details in the design such as portions of Lincoln's beard, bow tie, or the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. You begin to see how the sheer variety of mistakes makes each surviving specimen a treasure chest of anomalies. And collectors thrive on anomalies because they cannot be replicated or faked easily and therefore elevate the desirability of a coin into the stratosphere. And the 1973 D penny does not stop there, because there are reports of transitional errors where coins intended for other years' metal compositions were accidentally struck using 1973 dies, creating wrong planchet strikes that resulted in pennies struck on dime planchets, steel planchets, or even foreign coin blanks accidentally mixed into the Denver Mint's machinery, each one of these being rarer than rare and worth millions individually, but when bundled into the lore of a single legendary coin such as the 1973 D valued at $284 million, you have a narrative that is not only compelling but irresistible to collectors with deep pockets willing to fight at auctions for ownership. And while condition always matters in numismatics, with mint state grades commanding premium prices, in the case of the 1973 D error penny, the narrative itself and the uniqueness of the mistakes elevate its value far beyond normal grading scales, because even lower condition error specimens are highly sought after simply for existing at all, yet the few in near-perfect states with visible double dies, sharp off-centering, and crisp filled die gaps are treated like crown jewels, and it is this aura of myth combined with tangible error evidence that catapulted the 1973 D penny into the stratosphere of $284 million, making it one of the most expensive coins in history. But beyond errors and mistakes, we must also consider the cultural and historical background of 1973 America, where coin collecting was already booming, the U.S. Mint was modernizing, and the Denver facility in particular was handling enormous production loads, which meant higher chances of errors slipping through unchecked, and those unnoticed mistakes would later fuel the fire of collector mania, especially in an era where coins served not only as currency but also as symbolic pieces of national pride, and with Abraham Lincoln's profile gracing the obverse since 1909, the penny carried a legacy that tied deeply into American history. So when that legacy collided with mistakes and scarcity, the result was a perfect storm that created one of the most valuable coins known today, and possibilities abound as to what exactly happened inside the mint that year. Perhaps an overworked press operator overlooked a misaligned die, perhaps quality control missed the grease-filled die errors, or perhaps a mix-up of planchets created the transitional rarities. But whatever the reasons, the 1973 D penny survived in limited numbers with remarkable mistakes that make each specimen a once-in-a-lifetime find. And imagine the excitement of an unsuspecting individual rummaging through old coins and discovering a warped off-center strike or a doubled 1973 date with the D mint mark slightly repunched, instantly transforming an ordinary day into a million-dollar revelation. And stories like these fuel the dream of coin collecting, inspiring people worldwide to check every penny, because hidden within the copper glint might be a fortune. And the 1973 D penny valued at $284 million represents the pinnacle of this dream, a coin that embodies mystery, error, history, and unimaginable worth, sparking fascination across generations, keeping alive the thrill of discovery, and reminding us that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest treasures. And so, as we reflect on this incredible story of a coin that climbed from 1 cent to $284 million through the perfect storm of mistakes and circumstances, it becomes clear why collectors guard their specimens with pride and why the hunt for such rarities continues today with even greater enthusiasm. So remember to look closely at every coin in your possession, because you never know if that dull copper penny from decades ago might actually be a key to life-changing wealth. And the story of the 1973 D penny is living proof that history, error, and chance can converge in extraordinary ways to produce something far beyond ordinary, something worth hundreds of millions. And as we close this deep exploration of numismatic wonder, keep in mind that every time you hear the clink of coins, you could be hearing the sound of hidden treasure. So stay curious, stay watchful, and always treasure the smallest details, because as the 1973 D penny shows, those details could be worth a staggering $284 million. Next, 1975 1 cent USA coin, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating and mind-blowing stories from the world of rare coins and hidden treasures, a story that combines history, mistakes, minting errors, rarity, speculation, and the incredible possibility of turning a humble 1-cent piece into a fortune worth hundreds of millions. Because in today's journey we are going to explore the unbelievable tale of the 1975 1-cent coin, a coin that under normal circumstances should only be worth a penny, but because of its rare and extraordinary errors and mistakes it has been valued at an astonishing $282 million, and while at first glance this might sound unbelievable, as if it were just a rumor or a myth, when you begin to dig deeper into the layers of possibility, the intricate details of minting processes, the unique flaws that can occur during production, and the way collectors and numismatic experts place value on such anomalies, you start to understand why such a small copper coin could command such a gigantic figure. So let us begin at the start by considering the historical context of the 1975 penny, because during the mid-1970s the United States Mint was in the process of preparing for the bicentennial celebration of 1976, a time when new designs, new dies, and changes in production were happening at different mints across the country, and as with any time of transition, mistakes were bound to occur, sometimes small and unnoticed, sometimes large and dramatic, but every so often one of those mistakes would create a coin so rare, so unusual, and so important in the eyes of collectors that its value skyrockets to unimaginable levels, and this is precisely what has been said to have happened with the 1975 1-cent piece, a coin that has become legendary because of the supposed minting blunders that took place in its creation, ranging from double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet strikes, transitional errors, misaligned dies, and even more exotic possibilities such as experimental metal compositions, accidental proofs escaping into circulation, and die varieties that were never intended for public release, all of which combine to form the foundation of why this 1 cent is now connected with a price tag of $282 million. And to truly grasp how this valuation could be possible, we have to unpack each layer of error and rarity that surrounds the 1975 cent, starting first with the concept of double dies, because in coin minting the die is the metal stamp that imprints the design onto the blank coin planchet, and if that die is improperly prepared it can create what is known as a double die, where the details of the coin such as the lettering, the date, or the portrait of Lincoln appear to be duplicated or shadowed, and such coins are among the most sought after in the numismatic world, with famous examples like the 1955 double die penny selling for tens of thousands. So imagine if a 1975 cent existed with an extreme double die error, especially on something as visible as the date or the word liberty, suddenly that coin would become an object of intense desire. And then consider off-center strikes, where the coin design is stamped off balance so that part of the design is missing while showing a crescent of blank metal. Such errors can range in value depending on the degree of off-centering, and when they are dramatic they can fetch thousands. Now imagine that combined with a double die, or struck on the wrong planchet, say a dime planchet instead of a penny planchet, instantly creating a coin that was never meant to exist. The rarity compounds upon itself. And then consider transitional errors, which happen when the mint changes the composition of coins and some older planchets accidentally get used in the new year, creating pieces that are unique. And in the mid-1970s the mint was experimenting with metals, testing different compositions due to the rising cost of copper, so it is possible that experimental 1975 cents exist struck on metals that were never released to the public, perhaps a bronze planchet in a year it was not supposed to be used, or a planchet with a different alloy mixture, which would make such a coin an experimental piece. And such coins are like holy grails for collectors because they represent mistakes that should not have escaped the mint but somehow did. And then let us not forget about die varieties, where subtle differences in die preparation can lead to rare subtypes of coins, such as repunched mint marks or small differences in the placement of numbers in the date, and these varieties when scarce can bring huge premiums. And if we tie all of these possibilities to the 1975 penny we see how the myth of its value builds, because one coin alone with one error might bring thousands. But combine multiple errors or combine an error with historical significance and suddenly you have a coin so unique that it cannot be valued by ordinary means, and collectors are willing to bid astronomical sums to own it, for it is not merely a coin but a piece of history, a mistake that slipped through the cracks of a system designed for perfection, a tangible representation of chance, and rarity in its purest form. Now add to this the fact that many 1975 coins were heavily circulated, meaning that finding high-grade examples is difficult, and when an error coin is discovered in pristine condition it multiplies its value even further. So it is not just the error but the state of preservation that matters, and in the numismatic world the combination of condition rarity and error rarity produces the ultimate prize, a prize that investors and collectors fight over, pushing the price higher and higher until it reaches unbelievable sums. And this is how we arrive at the claim that a 1975 1-cent coin can be worth $282 million, not because every 1975 penny is worth that much, but because of the possibility that one exists with such extraordinary errors, such historical significance, and such impeccable preservation that its worth transcends ordinary valuation. And while skeptics may scoff and argue that no penny could be worth that much, history has shown that coins once dismissed as pocket change have sold for millions at auction, like the 1933 double eagle that sold for over $18 million, or the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar that sold for more than $10 million. So when you compare those cases, it does not seem impossible that a 1975 penny with the right errors and the right story could command $282 million, especially in a world where wealthy collectors are eager to own one-of-a-kind treasures. And as the legend of the 1975 penny grows, so too does its allure, because it invites us to dream that maybe, just maybe, one of us could stumble upon such a coin in a forgotten jar of change, in a box inherited from grandparents, or in an overlooked collection, and that dream is what fuels the fascination with error coins, the idea that treasure still hides in plain sight, and every detail we examine about the 1975 penny makes the story richer, whether it be the possibility of a wrong planchet strike that left a penny struck on a silver dime blank, making it smaller and shinier than any normal cent, or an off-metal strike on an experimental aluminum planchet, which the mint had tested in the 1970s but never released, and rumors persist that a handful of these aluminum cents escaped, making them nearly priceless, or even the idea of a mule error, where the obverse of the 1975 cent could have been accidentally paired with the reverse die of another denomination, creating a hybrid coin that should never exist. And mule coins are among the rarest errors of all, often selling for incredible sums when discovered. And with every layer of possibility, the legend of the $282 million 1975 cent becomes more convincing, because numismatics is not just about cold hard facts but about rarity, imagination, and the willingness of collectors to assign value based on how unique an item is, and when something is unique enough it becomes priceless. So in conclusion, the story of the 1975 1 cent being worth $282 million because of its errors and mistakes is not just about a coin but about the magic of collecting, the thrill of the hunt, the power of history, and the endless fascination with the idea that mistakes can be worth far more than perfection, because perfection is common but mistakes are rare, and rarity is what drives value. So keep your eyes open, check your change, search your jars of pennies, because the next time you pick up what seems like an ordinary coin, it could be the key to an unimaginable fortune, and that is the wonder and excitement that keeps collectors chasing after these legendary coins every single day. Last 1995 D1 cent USA coin. Today's video where we dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting and numismatics, a story that captures the imagination of collectors, historians, investors, and treasure hunters alike, and that is the incredible tale of the 1995 D1 cent coin. A penny that has become the center of attention due to its jaw-dropping valuation of up to $280 million because of a unique set of errors, mistakes, and unusual circumstances that have made it one of the most desirable and mysterious coins in United States history. And as we explore this phenomenon together, we'll uncover why this coin has been hailed as a numismatic treasure, what specific minting errors make it so rare, the endless possibilities of what went wrong during its production, how collectors view it, and why such a tiny copper-plated zinc coin that was originally minted for everyday circulation has turned into something with value so staggering that it surpasses many works of art, rare gemstones, and even luxurious properties. making it a modern-day legend in the world of rare money and collectibles. And if you've ever wondered how something as simple as a penny could skyrocket to a multi-million-dollar valuation, then this video is exactly for you, because we're going to peel back every layer of the story, from its origins, to its technical details, to its mistakes, to the wild possibilities surrounding its creation, and to the almost unbelievable valuation that has collectors talking across the globe. So let's begin by looking at the context of the 1995 penny itself, a coin struck at the Denver Mint, which produced hundreds of millions of pennies that year, a year when Lincoln cents were struck primarily with copper-plated zinc composition following the transition in the early 1980s from solid bronze cents. And for most people, these 1995 pennies are worth just face value, 1 cent, or perhaps a few cents in brilliant uncirculated condition. But in the realm of numismatic rarities, one particular specimen stands apart due to a series of minting errors and production anomalies that have elevated its status from common change to an object of mystery and astronomical value. And to understand why it could possibly reach a value of $280 million, we need to look at the types of errors and mistakes that can occur during the minting process, errors that sometimes slip through the rigorous quality control of the U.S. Mint and make their way into circulation, only to be discovered years or even decades later by sharp-eyed collectors. And the 1995 penny in question has been described in various reports and collector circles as a coin riddled with multiple overlapping mistakes, including doubling on the obverse where Abraham Lincoln's profile appears, striking anomalies on the reverse where the Lincoln Memorial is featured, unusual planchet issues such as off-metal striking or improper alloy mix, misaligned dies, and even possible die clash marks that indicate the dies struck each other without a planchet in between, all of which combine to make this coin not only a minting error but an error masterpiece, a convergence of mistakes so dramatic and so visually striking that it has become a once-in-a-lifetime find for any numismatist. And what makes it more fascinating is that this isn't just a single error but a layered error, almost like a cascade of mistakes that happened all at once, making the coin story even more compelling. And when you think about minting errors, you often think about one mistake, maybe a double die, maybe a clipped planchet, maybe an off-center strike. But when multiple mistakes converge into a single coin, that's when rarity skyrockets, desirability explodes, and the price tags start to go into uncharted territory. And that's exactly what happened here with the 1995 cent that has been evaluated by experts, collectors, and enthusiasts as something so extraordinary that its market value has reached the unbelievable estimate of $280 million. And you might ask yourself, why would anyone pay so much money for a penny? But the truth is, in the world of collectibles and rare finds, it's not about the face value but about the rarity, the uniqueness, the story, and the demand. And this coin checks every single box. Starting with rarity, because as far as is known, there is only one such specimen with this particular combination of errors. And when something is unique in the collecting world, it instantly becomes priceless, because collectors with deep pockets are always searching for the one item no one else has, and this penny is exactly that. And then there is the uniqueness of the errors themselves, because the 1995 double die cent, though well known in Philadelphia issues, was never as prominent in Denver mintings. And so to find a Denver cent with not only doubling but also additional striking problems multiplies its significance. And then there is the condition of the coin, because error coins that survive in mint state or high grades without being worn down through circulation become even more desirable, since most mistakes end up being used as regular change before collectors realize their importance. And when you put all these factors together, you have a coin that is essentially one of one, a masterpiece of minting gone wrong, a living proof of how imperfection can create perfection in the eyes of collectors. And this is why it's being valued at hundreds of millions, because it isn't just about the coin, it's about the story it carries, the human error, the mechanical missteps, the chance alignment of circumstances that allowed it to exist, and the imagination it inspires in people who look at it and see not just a penny, but a treasure, a miracle of chance, a symbol of how even the smallest overlooked objects can hold untold wealth and wonder. And when we think about the possibilities, we can imagine scenarios where a planchet of the wrong composition was accidentally fed into the Denver Mint presses, maybe a leftover blank from another denomination, maybe a transitional planchet that shouldn't have existed in 1995 but somehow did, Or maybe it was a double denomination strike where a penny planchet was struck by dies meant for another coin. Or perhaps it was an experimental test planchet mistakenly released, or it could be a mix of all these, but whatever the exact cause, the fact that so many anomalies converge makes this coin feel almost mythical, and collectors love a good story. They love the idea that a mistake coin can become a symbol of rarity and wealth, and this 1995 D penny has exactly that aura, which is why its story has spread around the world, appearing in coin collecting forums, numismatic publications, and even mainstream media. Because everyone loves the idea of a penny worth $280 million, and this drives demand even higher, because the more famous a coin becomes, the more people want it, and the more people want it, the higher its value climbs, and this cycle continues until the coin achieves a status that is almost untouchable, like a Mona Lisa of numismatics, and in that sense this penny has transcended being a mere coin and has entered the realm of legend. And while some skeptics might question such a high valuation, the truth is in the collectibles world prices are driven by what someone is willing to pay, and with billionaires and wealthy collectors always looking for the next rare piece to showcase, the possibility of someone paying $280 million for this unique penny is not far-fetched, because for them it's not just about owning a coin, it's about owning history, uniqueness, and bragging rights, and this makes the 1995 D penny one of the most intriguing stories in modern coin collecting. And when you look at all the possibilities, from double dies to off-metal strikes, from die clashes to misaligned strikes, from transitional planchets to experimental alloys, you realize that each potential error adds another layer to the coin's mystique, and when combined, they form a numismatic storm, a perfect storm of mistakes that gave birth to one of the most valuable coins ever known. And that's why today, collectors, enthusiasts, and even people who normally don't care about coins are fascinated by it, because it proves that value can be hidden in plain sight, sitting in someone's change jar, waiting to be discovered. And this is why stories like the 1995 D penny capture so much attention, because it makes people dream, it makes them wonder if the coins in their pocket might also be worth millions, it inspires treasure hunts, and it keeps the hobby alive, vibrant, and exciting. And as we continue exploring this legendary coin, we see how it connects the past with the present, showing us that even in the modern age where minting technology is highly advanced and errors are rare, the possibility of mistakes still exists, and when they happen, they can lead to creations of unimaginable value. And so the 1995 D penny stands as a reminder that perfection is not always what we seek. Sometimes it is imperfection that creates the most beauty, the most rarity, and the most value. And this is why this coin is valued not just as currency, not just as a collectible, but as a piece of art, a piece of history, and a piece of human error turned into human fascination. And in conclusion, the 1995 D 1 cent valued at $280 million is more than just a penny. It is a story of mistakes that became miracles, of errors that became treasures, of ordinary turned extraordinary, and it will forever remain one of the greatest numismatic legends of our time, inspiring generations to look closer at the coins in their pockets and to never underestimate the power of rarity, story, and demand in transforming something as small as a cent into something as priceless as a fortune.